Now, fears that the Red Arrows will be leaving Lincolnshire for good have been allayed. The Ministry of Defence announced today that while the team will be leaving its current base at RAF Scampton, it'll only be moving to RAF Waddington, just 10 miles away. But there are still concerns tonight over what may now happen to Scampton, once home to the famous Dambusters Squadron. Well, let's go live to Lincolnshire, where Martin Fisher is at the end of the airbase's historic runway. Martin.
Yes, well, the RAF Red Arrows have been training in the skies above RAF Scampton today, and that's something that's going to continue even when they move away to RAF Waddington in just a couple of years' time. This airspace is ideal for their training needs, and they're going to continue using it. But what's less clear is what will happen to Scampton itself when the military moves away. Training above RAF Scampton, it's a site that's been a familiar one in the air above North Lincoln for 2 decades. When Scampton closes in 2 years' time, the Red Arrows base will move to RAF Waddington.
There was moves afoot when I was first elected in 2010-11 that RAF Scampton might close and the RAF Red Arrows would have to move. There was talk then that they might move here to RAF Waddington. At the time, RAF Waddington a very busy airbase. It still is one of the busiest air bases in the country for the RAF. Obviously, though, has capacity to be able to enable the RAF Red Arrows to be based here. But obviously, they'll still be using the airspace above RAF Scampton to do all their training and practicing, which is good news for everybody in Lincoln.
Just a couple of weeks ago, the Red Arrows left RAF Scampton to impress the nation in the skies above London for the VE Day celebrations. But closing Scampton will save millions.
2 years ago, I think we all learnt that they were to move. I think there was a great upset in the county. There was a campaign was set in motion, and I think that certainly helped people to think again. A lot of things have happened since then, and I think that events, changes in circumstance have enabled what I believe to be the right decision to be made.
They really are so iconic with our skies in Lincolnshire, as well as obviously skies across the world. So it's just so wonderful that they're staying in their rightful home and inspiring real pride in our county.
The move away from Scampton is controversial, and there was a possibility the Arrows could move to bases in Cambridgeshire or North Yorkshire. Now they will stay in Lincolnshire, but at the nearby parish church, closing the base severs a vital link with the past.
We hoped that they would change their minds, which of course they'd done before in the past. But I think we sort of realised then that, this was the one that was going to happen. And we were so sad because we have such a wonderful relationship in this village with the camp. It's history, isn't it? It's absolutely history. But it will always be there. It'll always be there. Scampton is synonymous with the RAF, and I think it always will be.
They're fundraising here for a stained glass window to remember the Red Arrows, Vulcans and of course Lancaster bombers that flew from Scampton in the famous Dambusters raid. And it's hoped that history may yet live on at the base.
Well, I saw that the Minister and the Air Vice Marshal were quite specific about wanting to keep the heritage assets here, and we fully support that at West Lindsey, and I'm sure we'll be working together in the coming weeks and months to ensure that the aviation centre here can continue. And of course it's also an opportunity. If this is no longer a functioning RAF base, it means we can go ahead hopefully with some plans to improve the heritage offer and really make it better. So there's a lot of potential, and I hope that'll come to fruition.
So the Reds will still be seen in Lincolnshire's big skies, even if their current home is closed. Martin Fisher, ITV News in Lincoln.
After a 2-year campaign, Lincolnshire will remain the home of the world-famous Red Arrows. The RAF Aerobatic Display Team will move a short distance to RAF Waddington once their current home at RAF Scampton near Lincoln closes. In a moment, we'll hear from the MP, Sir Edward Lee, who was instrumental in keeping the Reds in the county. But first, Gemma Dawson has this report.
Setting off for training this morning, but soon the Red Arrows will wave goodbye to RAF Scampton for the final time. We've known for nearly 2 years that the team would be moving, but until today we didn't know where. Now the news that enthusiasts here in Lincolnshire had been hoping for. The Red Arrows are staying in the county, moving just 10 miles down the road to RAF Waddington.
Oh, I think it's absolutely amazing. I was really really made up when I saw that on social media this morning. I think the Red Arrows really sort of identify with Lincolnshire and Lincolnshire identify with them, so I think it's really good that they're staying here.
Brilliant. We were told this, but you've got that many stories going about, we weren't sure.
Fabulous news. It's a good boost for the local economy. It's great that it's still in Bomber County. You couldn't ask for anything better, really.
Even after the team has moved, the Jets will continue to practice in the skies above Scampton, perfecting their skills so they can perform flypasts like this one in London earlier this month to mark the 75th anniversary of VE Day. And for those promoting tourism back here in Lincolnshire, it's fantastic news that the Red Arrows will continue to be based in the county.
We're absolutely delighted, and I think it's come at a time when we really need our spirits lifted. So I'm absolutely thrilled that the MOD has decided to keep the Red Arrows in Lincolnshire. It generates so much pride, and certainly in a very difficult time when it comes to tourism recovery post-coronavirus. I think it's wonderful that we can include them in our marketing and work with them once again.
But questions remain over the future of the RAF Scampton site. The County Council says it'll continue to work with local MP Sir Edward Lee and West Lindsey District Council to ensure there's an appropriate use for the base.
There's so much potential on this site. It's in an incredibly good location, so some commercial opportunities maybe, definitely leisure and tourism with the heritage assets here, which we must absolutely protect. And also there's potential, I suppose, for some limited housing development.
For now, though, celebrations for these enthusiasts will be able to watch the team train in Lincolnshire for years to come. Gemma Dawson, BBC Look North at RAF Scampton.
Well, Sir Edward Lee is with me now. Sir Edward, seems a long time to reach a decision to move just 10 miles down the road.
Well, I think as far as most Lincolnshire folk are concerned, they'll notice no difference because it's only 10 miles away. And after our long campaign, we've kept the Red Arrows in Lincolnshire and they'll be flying above RAF Scampton. So I don't think people notice any difference. I agree with you. It's a long time for not much change.
No one really saw Waddington as a front runner. Is it a surprise?
Well, to be honest, I would have preferred to have kept Scampton open. In its historic base, and I want to have a future for Scampton, particularly with a proper museum for Bomber Command. But is it a surprise? They'll have to, of course, have the Red Arrows tied up with other operational flights, which is always the value of Scampton, but I suppose they've taken a decision. They know their business best. It's not for me to comment on whether Waddington is better than Coningsby, but I would have preferred Scampton, obviously.
And what will happen to Scampton? Will it be left empty for a long time like so many other disused bases?
No. The MOD, I think, have learnt lessons, and we're working closely with them and with West Lindsey and with Lincolnshire County Council to try and get a mix of housing and light office industrial development, and above all, as I say, to keep the Bomber Command Museum, in fact to build it up and to make it a real tourist attraction based around the Dam Busters, Guy Gibson's office, the hangar behind, perhaps with a mock-up of a Lancaster bomber, so we can have a really bright future for the base. But you're right, we don't want the MOD just walking away and washing their hands of Lincolnshire when they close a base, which they've done so often in the past.
And just briefly, the plans were announced 2 years ago to save £3 billion, but today the MOD says they're investing £4 billion, so that doesn't really sound like a saving, does it?
No, it doesn't sound like a saving, but at least it shows that although their first duty must be the defence of the country, and there can't be emotion tied up in all this, as important as history is or emotion, at least it shows that they've got some understanding of what it means when they pull out from an area, and they are determined this time to invest as they close military bases. So it's good news.
Good news. Sir Edward, very good to have you on the programme. Thank you.